All right, let's talk about something that is so important for our peace of mind, but man, is it tough for a lot of us. I'm talking about the art of saying no. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Someone asks you for a favor, something that's going to cost you time or energy, and almost before you've even processed the question, you hear yourself say, yes. And then, bam, that immediate sinking feeling. That horrible knot in your stomach, that little wave of resentment that follows, that's not just some fleeting regret. No, that is the very real emotional price you're paying for a boundary you didn't hold. It's a loud and clear signal that a line has been crossed. So what's the big deal? What really happens when we just keep saying yes over and over again? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. If you don't draw the map of your own life, you better believe other people will start drawing their maps all over yours. You end up losing control of your own territory. You know, this completely reframes the whole idea. A boundary isn't some giant fortress you build to keep everyone out. Think of it more like the front door to your house, your inner world. You and only you get to decide who you invite in, when they can come over, and what kind of energy they're allowed to bring inside. So, how do we get good at building that front door? Well, we can actually look back to some pretty ancient wisdom for that. The Stoic philosophers had a really powerful way of thinking about this. For them, being able to say no was absolutely key to your inner freedom and your strength of character. The Stoics built a lot of their philosophy around this idea they called prohairesis. It's a Greek word, but what it really means is your will, your power to choose. And here is the absolute game changer. Other people's requests, what they want from you, their expectations, all of that is totally outside of your control. But your response, your yes or your no, that is the one thing in the entire universe that is 100% yours to command. And look at this. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius gives us these two perfect questions to filter any request that comes our way. First, is this necessary? And second, and this is the big one, does this fit with who I am, with the person I'm trying to become? If the answer to either of those is no, then for a Stoic, saying no isn't just a good idea. It's your duty. It's a duty to your own character. Okay, the Stoic way of thinking seems so simple, so logical. So why is it so ridiculously hard to do in real life? To get that, we have to look at the psychology behind it all, this deep fear of saying no. It usually comes from a need to be liked, and the psychologist Carl Jung had some really amazing insights on this. So Jung talked about what he called the persona. It's the mask we wear for everybody else. It's the nice guy, the helpful girl, the agreeable, easygoing version of ourselves. But every single time we put on that mask and say yes when every fiber of our being is screaming no, we're taking our real feelings, our anger, our exhaustion, and shoving them down into what he called the shadow. And that stuff doesn't just vanish. It builds, and quietly it just eats away at our self-respect. And this brings us to a really powerful paradox. The moment you start setting boundaries, yeah, some people, usually the ones who benefited most from you not having any, might like you a little less. That surface-level, superficial love might start to fade. But you know what replaces it? Something way more valuable. Genuine respect. People start taking you seriously because you are finally taking yourself seriously. All right, we've gone through the philosophy, we've looked at the psychology. Now let's get into the how-to. Here is a simple 3-step method you can use to say no, and, just as importantly, how to handle that wave of guilt that comes after. But before we get to the steps, you have to burn this rule into your brain. No is a complete sentence. That feeling, that urge to launch into a 5-minute-long excuse about why you can't do something, that's not you. That's your fear talking. It's you begging the other person to approve of your boundary, and you just don't need their permission. Okay, let's walk through it. Step 1. When a request comes in, just pause. Don't give a knee-jerk answer. Take 1 second and ask yourself those Stoic questions. Is this truly necessary for me? Does it align with who I am? Step 2. Deliver a clear, simple no. It can be as easy as, I'm sorry, I can't do that, or that's not going to work for me right now. That's it. And then step 3, and yeah, this is the tough part. Witness your guilt. Feel it. Notice it. But, and this is so important, do not act on it. That feeling is just the ghost of an old habit. It's actually a sign that you are winning. It means you are successfully rewiring your brain. And always remember this. Protecting your own energy isn't selfish. It's a survival strategy. It's like they say, you can't pour from an empty cup. If you let everyone drain you completely, you have absolutely nothing left to give anyone. Setting boundaries is how you keep your own cup full, so you can then choose when and where to share what's inside. So finally, let's zoom out and look at the big picture here. Because when you really start setting boundaries, something amazing happens. You're not just saying no to things. You're actively starting to redefine every relationship you have in a much healthier, more honest way. The philosopher Immanuel Kant had this idea that we should always treat people as an end in themselves, and never just as a means to get what we want. Well, when you have no boundaries, it's way too easy for people to start seeing you as a tool, right? A resource, a means to their end. The act of setting a boundary is you fundamentally declaring, hey, I'm not a tool. I'm a person. I am an end in myself.
This quote from the French writer Nicolas Chamfort, wow, it puts it in really stark terms, doesn't it? And it might sound a bit extreme, but there's a profound truth in it. If you cannot say no, then you're not really in charge of your own life. You just become a slave to the wants and whims of everybody else around you. Your freedom is basically gone.
So, what's the big idea to take away from all this? A boundary isn't a rejection. It's a clarification. The best way to think about it is that you're handing the people in your life a user manual, one that clearly and kindly explains, this is how you treat me. This is how you show me respect. This is how we can have a real, healthy, lasting relationship. It's not about pushing people away. It's about teaching them how to stay.